The sirens just stop. Not a drill, not a storm. The phone lines light up once, then drop dead, and the 9 to 1 -1 operator is a ghost. You stand in the doorway, listening to nothing, no distant chopper, no red and blue flicker bouncing off wet pavement. In that precise silence, the gun you never bought is a fantasy, and the one locked in a safe 3 rooms away might as well be on the moon. What keeps you breathing now is not the firearm industry's marketing, it's the hardware store. The lie sold to most people is that a weapon must look like a weapon. That is a catastrophic misunderstanding of physics and human nature. Subscribe so you never miss this. Stay for number 8. The tool that requires no swing, no spray, and no purchase, and it's the only one most people refuse to practice. Tool number 1. The 6D cell mag light. Most people think flashlight. They picture a little LED clicker on a keychain. Wrong tool, wrong energy. Pull out a 6D cell mag light with a heavy aluminum barrel, and you are holding a foot-long solid metal rod that happens to emit a blinding 300+ lumen wall of light. In a world without police, the person approaching you in a dark stairwell doesn't see a flashlight. They see a wall of white fire in their pupils, and they have no idea what sits just behind it. That light removes their vision before the conversation even starts. And if the threat doesn't stop, you don't need a license, a background check, or a single round of ammunition to deliver a crushing swing that ends an encounter instantly. It lives on your kitchen counter or in the door pocket of your car. Zero questions asked. Most people are fumbling for a tiny keychain light that illuminates nothing and defends less. You walk with a tool that says, "I am just walking my dog," until the darkness makes it something else entirely. Tool number 2. A dry chemical fire extinguisher. You see a red canister on the wall and you think kitchen safety. Shift your thinking. That canister is a pressurized cloud of instant retreat. A dry chemical extinguisher fires a thick, choking, visually impenetrable blast of powder 15 to 20 feet. In a home invasion or a street confrontation without law, you don't need to be a fighter, you need to be gone. A 1-second sweep across an attacker's face fills their eyes, nose, and mouth with a bitter, blinding fog that no human can push through without gagging and clawing at their own face. They lose all orientation. You gain a 5-second window to move your family out the back door. Most people keep a baseball bat by the bed, waiting for a close contact fight. The fire extinguisher ends the fight by making the threat inhale a wall of chemicals. And nobody, not a single person in a panic, questions why you grabbed the fire extinguisher when things went bad. It's a rescuer's tool. That is your cover. That is your escape. Tool number 3. A high-torque tire iron. The 4-way lug wrench. It lives in your trunk, usually buried under a gym bag. Pick it up. Feel the cold steel cross. 4 heavy arms radiating out from a solid center mass. This is not a tire tool. It's a lever that multiplies force across a devastating radius. If a desperate crowd sweeps through a parking lot and your vehicle is dead, you slide your hand around one arm of that cross, and you now possess a swing weight that connects with the force of a hammer, but at the range of a baseball bat. The 4-way design gives you multiple grip points, and no one, absolutely no one, looks at a driver holding a lug wrench and screams weapon. They see a person with a flat tire. Most people leave theirs rattling loosely in the spare tire well, never imagining it could be the last thing between them and a smashed window. You will remove it today. Place it upright within a hand's reach of the driver's seat. It is a construction of solid American steel, sold for $12 at any auto store, and it will never jam, never run dry, and never be confiscated at a checkpoint. Tool number 4. The flathead screwdriver. Shank length. Open your junk drawer. Find the one with the worn plastic handle and the tip you've abused for years, prying open paint cans. That is not a tool anymore. That is a rigid steel spike with a handle molded perfectly to the human grip. A shank-length, flathead screwdriver slides into a pocket or a waistband with zero profile. It never gets flagged at a checkpoint because it is a thing of labor. It says, "I am on the way to fix something." But in the physics of a collapsed order, a 4-inch steel shaft driven with conviction defeats thick denim, heavy canvas, and the leather of a winter coat without requiring a single ounce of combat training. The puncture is small. The effect is immediate. And unlike a folding knife that requires you to open it under stress, the screwdriver is always deployed, always ready. Most people are scrolling online looking for a tactical folder with a flipper tab. You will walk past that entire aisle into the hardware aisle where things cost $4 and pick up the weapon that built the modern world. Tool number 5. Aerosol wasp and hornet spray. The 20-foot stream, most people think pepper spray. They carry a tiny pink keychain canister that sputters 6 feet in ideal wind and requires precision aim for a face that is already moving. Throw that away in a no-law scenario. Go to the garden section. Pick up a can of wasp and hornet spray marked for a 20-foot or even 25-foot jet stream. That foam shoots across an entire parking bay. It fires with a range and accuracy that no defensive spray on the market can legally match, and the effect is catastrophic. This is a neurotoxin designed to drop an aggressive swarm instantly. In human eyes, it causes immediate, searing, irreversible damage. Permanent blindness is the reality of that chemical hitting a cornea. You don't need to be brave. You don't need to get close. Aim for the face from across the room, depress the button, and walk away. Most people will hesitate because it doesn't say tactical on the label. But in the aftermath, when there is no ambulance coming, words on a can mean nothing. Effect means everything. Tool number 6. A heavy-duty tube sock and a can of soda. This sounds absurd for a second. Then you build it. Take a standard unopened soda can. Shake it violently for 30 seconds until the aluminum is rigid with internal pressure. Drop that pressurized rock into the toe of a thick cotton tube sock. Tie a tight knot just above the mass. You are now holding an improvised flail. The sock acts as a flexible handle that generates terrifying angular velocity. The dense can becomes a concentrated impact mass. Swing this in a downward arc onto a collarbone, a forearm, or a skull, and you are delivering focused kinetic trauma that no flesh can shrug off. The legal footprint of these 2 items in your gym bag is 0. It is laundry and lunch. Nobody profiles a sock and a soda. Most people will dismiss this as a prison movie trope. But physics doesn't care about style. This cheap, silent, disposable tool puts that equation entirely in your hands. Tool number 7. A hardwood walking cane, chestnut or hickory. Most people see a cane and they see frailty. That is precisely why it wins. A solid hardwood crook cane with no height adjustment mechanism, no folding joints, just one continuous piece of dense hickory or chestnut is a legal impact weapon carried in the open across every street in this country. You wrap your hand around the curved top and you now possess a lever that extends your striking range by over 3 feet. You target the bony protrusions, the clavicle, the radial bone in the forearm, the ridge of the knee. A single hard snap to a wrist holding a knife drops the weapon instantly, and the blood spatter from blunt percussion doesn't aerosolize like a punch to the face. You stay clean. You stay mobile. Most people will buy a collapsible baton that rusts closed and is illegal to carry in half the states. You will buy a medical-looking accessory that nobody fears, nobody questions, and nobody forgets once it cracks across their forearm in a dark parking structure. Tool number 8. Ambient awareness. The brain. This is the tool that costs nothing, requires no purchase, no holster, no drawer, and it is the one most people refuse to practice. Ambient awareness is the deliberate act of scanning for pre-fight indicators before the threat ever notices you exist. You walk into a gas station and you pause outside the glass for 3 seconds. You watch the posture of the person at the counter. You clock the running vehicle with no plates in the side lot. You see the nervous hands. You are not paranoid. You are reading the room because the room always tells you what is about to happen. Most people walk through life buried in a phone screen, earbuds sealed tight, and they walk straight into a choke point with no exit. In a world without police, the ambush predator selects the inattentive. The predator rarely even sees the person who crossed the street 3 blocks earlier because something felt off. The brain is not a poetic metaphor. It is the processing unit that activates every tool on this list before the physical fight becomes your only option. Train it today. Walk a route and mentally log every exit, every reflective surface, every person who looks up when you enter. That is not fear. That is the discipline of survival. Here is the raw fact. These 8 tools are built on. When the police are gone, the goal is not to stand in the street and win a battle. It is to break first contact and move your body to safety with a tool that does not scream weapon to every desperate person watching. The mag light is a flashlight. The extinguisher is a rescue device. The cane is a medical aid. Your brain is invisible. You are not building an arsenal. You are assembling a kit of mundane, legal, devastating objects that let you walk through a checkpoint, past a mob, or out of a riot without a single question asked. Survival after the sirens rewards the gray shadow, not the painted warrior. Now drop a comment and tell me which of these 8 you can put your hand on right now without standing up. And in the next video, we are going deeper into the gray man doctrine. How to dress, walk, and talk your way through a collapse zone without ever being remembered. I'll see you there.